All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us for From Cost to Profit, Leveraging Construction Technology for Smarter Operations. My name is Ariana Latour, and I'm going to be the moderator for today's webinar. There's just a few housekeeping items I'd like to cover before we get started. We are recording today's session so that you can review it later or share it with anyone that you think would find it helpful. You'll receive a copy of the recording in your inbox tomorrow, and it'll also be available on docubee.com in the Resource Center under Videos. We're also going to be doing a live Q&A session at the end of the webinar, but don't feel like you have to wait. You can enter any questions you have in the chat or question panel in GoToWebinar while we go through the presentation. And finally, after the webinar, there will be a pop-up survey where you can leave feedback and enter our raffle for an iPad mini. So make sure that you stick around for your chance to win. With all of that out of the way, I'm going to hand things over to Jason so that he can get us started.
Great. Thanks so much, Ariana, and hello, everyone. It's great to have you all here today. My name is Jason Lee. I lead product marketing here at docubee, and I've spent the past several years working with construction companies to really understand the unique challenges that they face. And I'm joined here today by my colleague, Sarah, our brilliant sales engineer. Sarah, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Saray. I'm a sales engineer with docubee. I do product demonstrations, and I'll be doing a product demo later on in the webinar today.
Great. So before we dive in, let me give you guys a quick overview of what you can expect from today's webinar. First, we're going to dive into some of the challenges that construction companies face when managing projects. We'll focus on how they impact your bottom line and how technology can really help transform your challenges into profitability. Then we're going to walk through some real-world examples of construction companies that have successfully integrated technology solutions, and including a live demo where Sarah's going to show you exactly how docubee can streamline your operations. And so by the end of our webinar today, our goal is for you to walk away with a very clear understanding of how you can leverage tech to reduce your headaches with your operations, increase efficiency, and ultimately drive profitability. So before we get into the specifics, let me give you a little background on docubee. docubee was founded in 2017 and quickly became a leading solution in contract automation and e-signature, particularly for the construction industry. So we built our platform with one goal in mind, which is to make contract management easier and faster and more efficient for companies like yours. And so what really sets this group or this company apart is our commitment to flexibility and transparency. So we offer unmatched pricing that's clear and flexible without any hidden fees. We offer seamless integrations with tools you're already using, and our customer service team genuinely goes above and beyond. So now that we have a sense of who we are and what we do, let's take a step back and look at the construction industry today. As it stands, it's no secret really that construction companies face significant operational challenges. We're seeing frequent project delays, high operational costs, inefficient contract renewals, and poor resource coordination, all of which contribute to an industry that already struggles to stay on time and within budget. And research has shown that more than half of all construction projects exceed their budget and also are not completed on time. And so they're not just frustrating. At the end of the day, they're eating away at profitability and growth. And so the real question here is, why do these problems keep happening, right? And what's really behind them? So this brings us to identifying productivity barriers. And these are the key operational pain points that so many companies are grappling with today, right? So there is first resource misallocation. Labor and materials are used inefficiently, leading to delays and budget overruns. We also have data mismanagement. And so without real-time data, making informed business decisions becomes nearly impossible, especially when you start considering paper processes and not knowing which version of a contract is the latest. And then finally, compliance challenges are always looming, right? Staying on top of regulations can be daunting, and non-compliance can lead to really costly penalties and further delays. And so these types of barriers create a ripple effect across projects. and they compound inefficiency, increase the chances of missed deadlines, and cost overruns. And so, how do we fix this becomes our next question. Technology plays a huge role in this, and so that's exactly what we're going to dive into next. And so, before we move on, I'd like to get a sense of where all of you are in your own operations. We're going to start with a quick poll, and this is going to help us understand your current landscape. So, feel free, please, to answer honestly. Our first question here today that I'm going to launch is, what is your biggest operational challenge in construction management? Is it resource allocation, having trouble with your data, compliance, or something else? Go ahead and select the option that represents your biggest hurdle right now. All right, give a couple more seconds for responses. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. The next poll question for us is, how does your team currently handle contracts, right? So as I launch this poll, I want you to think about some of the processes that you currently manage. Are you relying on manual and paper-driven processes using outdated software like spreadsheets, or have you already integrated some form of automation? Give a couple more seconds for responses here before we move forward. All right. So now that we've identified some of the common barriers holding construction businesses back, let's kind of explore how technology plays a pivotal role in overcoming these challenges. And so the role of technology today is really about enhancing efficiency across the board, right? And a lot of these smaller contractors and business owners hesitate to adopt new technology because of the upfront investment that they think that they have to invest in. So time and money, right? There's this feeling that tech is too expensive or too complicated to implement, and that makes it often get pushed to the back burner. One of the biggest advantages, though, is that modern SaaS solutions like DocuBee operate on a flexible pricing model. And so what that really means is instead of needing large capital upfront, you're paying only for what you need. And what we're seeing is a lot of software companies manipulate their customers into paying more for what they don't need, and then they upcharge them year over year. So DocuBee isn't one of those vendors. We help reduce stress on your budget and make it easier for companies to just start reaping the benefits without the financial burden. And so for smaller contractors, you're getting the flexibility to scale as your projects grow. And you can have predictable costs rather than worrying about surprise expenses down the line. But beyond the financial aspect, technology is really about streamlining your processes, and things like automation and cloud-based solutions can help you cut down on your day-to-day operational inefficiencies, right? So imagine being able to reduce the number of errors in your work, improve your accuracy, give you back hours of manual work, all with just a couple of clicks, right? It really helps you to focus on what really matters, completing projects on time, staying compliant, and ultimately keeping your clients happy. So that brings us to our next point. Why should you embrace technology? I think the construction industry is really unique because no two projects are exactly alike. It's not like manufacturing, for example, where you have a standard assembly line. So each construction project has its own set of challenges, regulations, and client needs. And what that means is it's difficult to find a one-size-fits-all solution, which is why having a customizable tech platform like DocuBee is so crucial, right? One of the most effective ways to realize the value of your tech investment is to focus on improving your own overall processes rather than just plugging in individual gaps here and there. So it should enhance your work process holistically, whether it's contract management or compliance tracking. All of that is going to make a bigger impact than point solutions that only solve one problem at a time. And let's face it, right? In construction, it really feels like we're trying to plug leaks in a sinking ship at times. And so with all of our compounding business problems, it's hard to know which one to tackle first and how to prioritize that. But with the right tech solution in place, you really don't have to choose. By improving your processes across the board, you're actually addressing multiple issues at once. And your operations are going to be more smooth and more resilient to the challenges that crop up along the way. Um, and then finally, the best part about all of this is that when you partner with a solution provider who really understands your industry, you're not just getting software, you're gaining a meaningful and strategic growth partner, right? So working with a provider like DocuBee means you have ongoing support to evaluate your inefficiencies, help you strategically recommend your steps to implementation or your first steps, and then help you ultimately see return on investment much more quickly. Now, I want to shift gears and share a real world example of how technology can have a direct and measurable impact on a business. And Outback Deck is a great case study for this. They are a mid-sized construction company based in Atlanta, Georgia, that before working with DocuBee faced some of the same challenges we've been discussing here. So inefficient contract workflow, delays in project billing, and the struggle to keep everything moving and on time. So after implementing DocuBee, their results were immediate and significant, right? We're talking about impressive changes to their contract preparation time. So what used to take them over 30 minutes with Adobe was cut down to less than 5 minutes with DocuBee. So that to me is not just a minor improvement, it's an absolute game changer for their team. Faster contract completion means that they can bill their clients sooner. It means that they can improve their cash flow. And they started getting more five-star reviews from satisfied clients. And so because DocuBee seamlessly integrates with their existing systems, that transition was smooth. They didn't need to overhaul their workflow. Um, and as their process and implementation manager says it, they didn't have to sacrifice quality for affordability, right? They got a solution that was tailored to their needs, very quickly implemented, and then started showing them results almost immediately. And so to me, this case study is just one example of how a smart investment in technology can really lead to positive outcomes for your business. And ultimately, it's about more than just saving time, right? It's about enhancing your entire operational efficiency and making a real impact on your profitability. And so, building on success stories like Outback Deck, I want us to take a look at some of the emerging technologies that are shaping the future of our industry in construction. And so, this industry is evolving very quickly, and new technologies are always going to be coming to the forefront. And they're offering ways to drive profitability and efficiency, right? Things like AI, which powers contract drafting, or data-driven decision-making tools, and advanced compliance tracking. They're no longer concepts from the future. They're here today, right? And they're transforming how your competitors are managing their products or their projects. And so these tools can help us really reduce risk by providing real-time insights, streamlining workflows, and improving the accuracy of all of your tasks, whether it's scheduling or contract management. And in an industry where really small errors can lead to bigger delays down the line, that ability to automate and analyze data is going to make a huge difference. And that segues us directly to the power of automation. Automation really is the backbone of these emerging technologies. So by automating processes like contract creation and getting e-signatures, you're not just saving time, you're reducing your rate of error, improving data accuracy, and ensuring compliance. And so with everything running through that automated process, you're cutting down all of that back and forth and freeing up your time and your team's time to focus on higher value tasks. Now, before I pass things off to Sarah for our demo, I want to take a quick moment to share a little bit more about DocuBee's contract management solution and why it's such a crucial tool for construction businesses, right? So like we discussed, managing contracts is one of those time-consuming and error-prone aspects of any construction project. So if you're drafting, reviewing, signing, renewing contracts, all of those steps along the journey comes with its own set of challenges. And delays at any of these stages can disrupt the entire project timeline. So that's exactly where DocuBee comes in. You can automate every stage of that life cycle and start using things like pre-approved templates, automated workflows, collaborate in real time with your customers, clients, and internal team members, and reduce the time it takes to get your contract signed and executed. And so what makes DocuBee especially valuable is the visibility that it provides you. So you can track the status of all of your contracts in real time. You can also spot potential delays before they become an issue. And so this level of transparency really helps you to stay ahead of deadlines and avoid any last minute surprises that could impact your profitability or project timeline. So in a nutshell, TalkDB helps you turn your contract management into a competitive advantage. And we help you do that by cutting down on your rate of error, improving efficiency, and ultimately protecting your bottom line. And with that, I'll let you take the stage.
All right, great. Thanks, Jason. So time to now dive in to DocuBee. What you should see on the screen here, everyone, is essentially the main screen once you log in to DocuBee. DocuBee is a cloud-based platform that is typically run on Chrome. You log in with a username and a password, and it takes you to kind of this dashboard layout. What we'll do for the demo today is really a high-level overview of the kind of core components of the platform. And I'm really going to focus on three major areas. The first is our workflow function, which is really designed for kind of the most complex processes that you may have in your business today. And I'm actually going to use one example from Outback Deck. Then we'll go into some kind of a mid-level complexity, our contract management piece. And then finally, our kind of very simple, straightforward process where you may just need to send a document out for signature. You don't need a whole bunch of steps to get there. We've got a solution for that as well that's called QuickSign. So we'll cover those three areas. What you're seeing here on the screen, the first thing I kind of want to talk about is this idea of a workspace. Workspaces allow you to silo different functions and different departments within your company. So you may have an accounting, an HR, a quoting or estimating function. It allows you to silo processes and members, people who can actually see what's going on in there. Now, you certainly don't need to use it. It really depends on the size of the business. But I went into one workspace here, which is our holds our construction workflow. Now, one other thing to highlight before I actually start this workflow is a lot of our customers are carrying out their processes on DocuBee, not only in the office, on their desktop computer. They're moving, they're out in the field, especially with folks in the construction industry. I'm sure you're quoting in different locations, and it's typically in the customer's home. So I wanted to highlight that DocuBee is mobilely responsive. You're able to actually quote out in the field on your phone or on your tablet using DocuBee. Now, as you can see here, I've got this, what we call a web form in DocuBee for Outback Deck, and it's a series of fields. And this is completely customizable. You'll notice that the company's branding, color scheme, and all the fields that are necessary and important to them to collect that information that then will then paste on to documents. We're able to generate documents from the information that we enter in here. Now I've got some fields, of course, pre-filled here in the interest of time. Fields can be required, optional, and we also have conditional logic baked in to these fields. So especially in a quoting use case, you may have a series of questions that are only relevant under certain circumstances. So if the house or the building is a certain square footage, right? that's going to necessitate another series of questions. We can build that conditional logic into the web form. We can also upload documents, carry pictures, docx files, PDF files. Now, let's say in this quoting workflow, as I'm entering in information, there are various directions we can take this. I really want to emphasize the customizability of this. A lot of our customers like for a new window to be opened up once information is entered with the proposal generated. Some of our customers like to get an email notification. And so that's what we've got here in this particular example. But of course, you can configure that however you need. So I've gotten an email notification. You'll notice here the name was actually pulled from that web form that we entered in. And the body of the email is completely customizable as well. You can see the business logo. I'm prompted to view the document and sign it. And so you'll notice here that in this example, Outback has quite a lengthy proposal outline, right? This is a 27-page document. All of the design elements, the formatting, all of that's preserved in the document. None of that changes. We're able to go ahead and not only collect that information that we collected on that web form, and we're able to place it anywhere we need to on the document, but of course we're also able to place additional fields that we need our prospective client, the homeowner, the end user, whoever that signing party is, to go ahead and complete. Some of the fields are required. So I got a required field here. I can't move forward. That's a good gate we've got in place. And of course, some are optional. And there are all sorts of fields that you can place in here. We've got radio buttons, multiple choice, initial fields. Now, of course, if this is a brand new person who's never used Docubee before, they'll go ahead and be prompted to enter in their signature. We can also have fields be automatically populated by, let's say, the date that they opened the document, so they don't need to have to think about, what day it is. One extra little step that can be saved in the signing process. A lot of what our customers were doing before coming onto Docubee, of course, was either generating the proposal, let's say on Microsoft Word or on paper or on a Google Doc, and then having to upload it either via email or into some e-signing platform. We're taking all of that away because that whole end-to-end process is now being automated by Docubee. So I went ahead and I put my information into that proposal. Let's say I was the customer in that scenario. And now that document owner, let's say it's a salesperson, a sales rep at Outback, has gotten a notification the document has been signed, and now they're prompted to go ahead and review the document and sign it. And we can, of course, include as many different people as we need to in this particular layout, in this particular workflow. You may have multiple people that need to review it and sign it. There's also, Jason mentioned this, the ability to route documents into different directions. So maybe you have to have a review step in that workflow. It's not really ready for signature until the other party has a chance to review it, make some changes, and then send it back. That step can be automated as well. We can have additional buttons at the bottom of the screen that prompts the user to send it back for review. Now, in this particular workflow here, what I've done is once the document has been signed, I've actually prompted Docubee to go ahead and send this document, this completed document, into my Google Drive. So we have a lot of customers who are using document repositories, right? They're using Google Docs, or excuse me, Google Drive. They're using Salesforce. They might be using Box or Dropbox. We have native integrations. Those are out of the box, all ready to go with Google Drive, with Box, with SharePoint, with Salesforce, so that I can actually go in to my drive and find those signed documents. This was updated just now. I'm in the central time zone. And so there it is. There's the document in my Google Drive. We can push all of those documents there automatically. Even if you don't have a repository or don't use one, we're still going to store those in DocuBee. And so we've got a dashboard that keeps track of every single time that process is run. And so you can see here, I've got a couple in progress here. I can see what the holdup is. The idea here is we want to remove as many bottlenecks in that sales motion as possible, right? Maybe it landed in someone's spam folder. We can go ahead and resend it. We can see who's viewed it, when they viewed it, and at what time they viewed it, if we need to follow up with them. And then those documents that are already completed, we have them here. I can go ahead and access not only the signed documents, but if you'll remember, I did upload a file. I can download those attachments as well. So they'll always be here, and this is completely searchable. Now, in the interest of time, I'll quickly move over to the next component of DocuBee. So that was workflow. Workflow gives you a lot of flexibility to automate your most complex processes. Let's say you don't need something that involved. We have this component called contract lifecycle management. And so maybe you just need an ability to upload a contract, a purchase order for your vendor, a document. We can go ahead and upload that document and make those changes. You'll see the interface here looks very much like a Microsoft Word, a Google Doc. I can actually go ahead and type new information here. I need to change the formatting on that document. But as you can see, I can go ahead and type directly on the document. I can pull the documents in from multiple external sources. Maybe I want to upload this from my computer, from Google Drive. I could even start with a blank document. And you'll notice here I have these stages that a document could potentially move through. It really just depends on how complex or simple your process is. You certainly don't need to use all of these, but it gives you the ability to share that document both internally and externally with other folks where they can have the ability to make suggestions. Let's say you don't want to give them full permissions, you can control that. The ability to make suggestions. They can also converse with you over a chat. And before you even send this out for signature, you also have the ability to generate reports based on different parameters of the document. So, we can have reports for POs, contract values over, let's say, 50,000. And those reports are going to be automatically generated. Jason mentioned, keeping up with recurring revenue, contracts that need to be renewed. I can have those reports be automatically updated here as new documents are being generated that meet those criteria will funnel into those reports. So really a fast and efficient way to stay on top of it. I know we're at about time, so I'll wrap this up. The last thing I did want to speak to is the most straightforward component of DocuBee for those really quick one-off signing ceremonies where you just need to send a document for signature. You don't need all that other stuff. It's already done. It's ready to go. You can go ahead and just upload it, place some fields on it, and send it out to whoever needs to sign it. You still have the ability, of course, to track the progress of those outstanding documents and preview those as well and download. So I'll stop there. I will say in our custom one-on-one demos, we definitely go in more in depth, but wanted to do a high-level overview. And I think we can go to questions now, if that works for everyone.
Sounds great. Thanks for all of that, Sarah. So we covered a lot in a pretty short amount of time here. So if you guys have any questions that you would like to ask Jason or Sarah while we have them on the webinar here, go ahead and enter them into the question or the chat panel and go to webinar. I do have a few that came in while we were going through the presentation, so we can get started there. We have a question that says, we are a smaller construction company. Is this technology really worth the investment for a smaller company?
I can help answer that question, Ariana. That's a very common question that we get asked, and the answer is always yes. DocuBee is scalable, obviously, for very large enterprises, but It's also incredibly beneficial for smaller contractors and businesses as well. And so the automation and the efficiency gains that you will experience is going to free up a lot of time, help you become more professional in all of your customization efforts with your branding efforts with your customers. It's also going to help you focus on growing your business without having to worry about all of the administrative burden. And all of that is going to come without that huge upfront investment. So short answer, I think for a smaller construction company, is exactly who DocuBee is designed for. And that technology, um, our technology is certainly worth that investment.
Awesome. Thanks, Jason. I see another question. How long does it typically take to implement DocuBee into an existing system?
Yeah, I can answer that. That's a great question. You have a couple of options. Every business we recognize is different, different size, different level of complexity. So some customers will go what we call the self-builder route. You have the ability to build your own workflows, create your own templates. You have the ability to actually create templates, which I didn't mention in the demo, yourself. It is a no-code solution. That's the great thing about DocuBee. All of it is point and click. And so you're able to drag and drop all of those elements that you saw during the demo. The second option, which I would recommend for larger businesses that have multiple processes that they need to automate, is a kind of a white glove service that we offer where we're able to build out those workflows for you. And we always start that process by creating a statement of work where we actually meet before you sign on with DocuBee and kind of go in detail step by step of how you envision that workflow to look like and to operate so that we can memorialize that on the SOW, have you review it, approve it, so that we know exactly how to build it out. And of course, there's a series of meetings that we'll have to kind of track the progress, make sure we're on track with that project, our own kind of project management. So you have a couple of options there.
Thank you so much for that, Sarah. That's all the questions that I'm seeing for now, but if you have any other questions that you'd like to ask, feel free to keep sending them in to the question in the chat panel while we finish up on the webinar, and we'll make sure that somebody from our team follows up with you via email to get them answered.
Great. As we come to the end of today's session, I'm going to quickly recap some of the key points that we covered today. And so first, we really discussed the pressing challenges in the construction industry. And so whether that's project delays or high operational costs, they're all impacting profitability in some way. We also talked about how adopting the right technology can transform challenges into opportunities, and showing you real world examples like Outback Deck, we've seen how companies are using construction software to streamline their contract management and boost their bottom line. And with emerging technologies and the automation tools that we've discussed, it's also very clear that the future of construction and being successful in this industry is really about integrating smarter and more efficient processes. Um, Ultimately, it's about more than just managing your contracts. It's about driving profitability. It's about protecting your margins and staying competitive in an industry that's constantly evolving. And so, that being said, before we wrap up, I want to extend a very sincere thank you to everyone for attending today's webinar. We really hope that you've gained some valuable insights and practical strategies to take back to your teams. And so as a token of our appreciation, we are offering 15% off of your first 6 months of DocuBee if you sign up by November 30th. This is a really great opportunity to see firsthand how DocuBee can transform your business, streamline your operations, and help you stay competitive without a heavy upfront cost. And so for those of you who are curious about the iPad raffle, thank you so much for staying all the way to the end. Going to hand things back to Ariana for more details on that.
Awesome. Thank you, Jason. And thank you to all of you for joining us today. We hope that the webinar was insightful and sparked some ideas on how DocuBee can help you fly through contracts at your company. As a reminder, we're going to be sending out a recording of the webinar to your inbox tomorrow. And if you'd like to chat with a DocuBee specialist about your contract process, there will be a pop-up survey after the webinar closes where you can request a demo. And that's also where you can enter our iPad mini raffle. So make sure that you fill out the pop-up survey to enter. Thank you guys again for joining us. We hope you enjoy the rest of your day.